So mobility is revolutionising how we do business, it's revolutionising how we work with each other, and it's revolutionising how we live our lives. I think mobile phones as they used to be were purely there for point-to-point contact. You'd phone someone up, it might save you a bit of time, it might save you a meeting, but nowadays you've kind of got this always-on pervasive, it can mean intrusion, but it can also be an opportunity into how you engage with your customers, your colleagues, the wider world at large. I think, previously people created empires around which data was held effectively. Nowadays, that's a much flatter structure. You do not need to wait for Bob to get back to you with the sales figures or John to get back to you with the average SLA time. That information can be there and should be there. And there's really no excuses anymore. The pervasive amount of devices out there give us that access which we need, so we shouldn't have to wait. And why should we? Things have moved on. I guarantee your competitors aren't waiting for that information, so why should you? I heard a great story the other day about a tech startup, and that tech startup was boasting effectively that he never had to buy a PC or a mobile for any of his team of 10 people. He didn't invest in a server, everything was stored in the cloud. His whole business model was built around people bringing their own tools and devices to work through a shared cloud-based email system, shared document system, and operating completely without central ICT infrastructure. Now, previously, 20 years ago, that was alien. We invested massive amounts of money in servers, massive amount of money in email systems, and that's totally changed. I think also you've got to recognise that people use Facebook in work, they use LinkedIn, they use social media, they tweet. It's part of our lives. But in return, you get people engaging with business outside of those working hours. So it's kind of give and take. Perhaps allow Facebook access, perhaps allow that kind of social media stuff. But in return, people will probably check their email and they might respond to email when they're out of the normal 9 to 5 hours. So it's basically breaking down the barriers.
It is a very exciting time for mobile because all the work that we do now, there's an expectation that it should work across mobile devices, which is challenging on one hand, but exciting on the other because you can really kind of push the boundaries. It's much less about a dedicated app all the time now. It's now a project will work, a website will work, regardless of device.
There are so many different devices. Those devices all on different operating systems, they all have different approaches, some of them have different screen sizes, different input devices. There really is a challenge out there to develop one thing that will work on all those different devices. And unfortunately, the people buying those apps don't necessarily understand that. They don't understand that we may need to work 27 different versions of an Android app for it to work on all those different devices. And those challenges clearly have cost with them, and they also clearly have time with them. And it's a budget versus expectations element.
One of the challenges we have is testing on devices. There's a lot of emulators out there, a lot of software that pretends to be a device. Using that used to be okay, but now there's so many nuances between them, so many differences that nothing is as valuable as having a physical device to have a look at your project on. So we've started to actually get more and more physical devices in our office. And what we found is that people in the industry need that. So we're starting to get what a movement is called an Open Device Lab. What that is basically you have a lab of devices, but the open part is you can let other people come in, external people, and test on your devices.
I think mobile got interesting when Apple released their software development kit in 2009. At that point, it became an area where it was very easy to build apps and very easy to deliver them to people. And because of that, I think that it became something that everybody could do. And now we've reached a stage where every company thinks, we need an app. That isn't true. And one of the things that we talk about in our seminars is, when is an app the appropriate solution? But for a lot of companies, it is the appropriate solution. And over the last 3 years, we've trained in Wales something like 300 companies to look at what is the right solution for what they do and to build it for iPhone, for Android, or sometimes just for mobile web. Mobile web is a good solution for many of the problems people have. If what you want is an app which is connected to the web and getting data down, often mobile web is the right answer. there are situations, for instance, if you're in the middle of Wales and you've got no signal, but perhaps you're visiting a customer and want to record data about them, where actually having an app on the phone is a much better way to go, and then later on the data can be loaded up. So of course, mobile isn't just about phones, it's about tablets too, and that's an incredibly growing industry that you can see that a large part of the desktop market is going to be going away and is going to be replaced by people in their workplace using tablets with apps on them that help them do what they need to do. And building those apps is going to be a large industry in the future. And I would like to see Wales have a large part of that large industry. And I think to do that, we need to be training our people better, and we need to be getting them together, exchanging information, that in Wales we will build the best apps.